Right, now this will tell us. And that's pretty conclusive. Still going. Close. I think he got it down.
How strong is he?
Welcome back to the Pick and Go podcast, your one-stop shop for all things rugby union. And this week, unfortunately, I'm flying solo in the Wellington studio and no Pretty Weepu. Hopefully he'll be back next week. But what I do have are a couple of friends up north, and we'll head to Ben Searle of Surly Talk Sports. First of all, across the bridge at the Northcote. Is that okay? Is that your general area, Surly?
Yeah, sure is, mate. You got to say it with some pride, though, Paulie. It's God's country, and it's soon to be Shield country as well. Can't wait for this weekend, mate.
Oh, we better bring in someone else from up north then. He may have something to say about that. Our good friend Steve Devine, are you on the other side of the bridge? What side of the bridge are you?
I'm on the right side of the bridge,
Right.
and if North Harbour win the Shield, I'm going to knock the bridge down.
Yeah, we'll get to that fairly soon. Why don't we just have a look at how our betting went last week? And it wasn't a pretty picture, to be fair. We'll start with Steve, who donated his $100 to Pretty Weepu. However, he does take the loss. He had the whole 100 on Canterbury to beat Otago. He says it was more of a charity bet, a bet for the rest of New Zealand.
Yeah, thank me, the rest of New Zealand. It was a great pleasure and honour to achieve such a fine victory.
To Pretty, he had two bets. He had the Black Ferns to win by 13 or more against the Canadians in the Rugby World Cup Women's semi-final. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. And then he tried for the perfect round. Hawke's Bay to win, Auckland to win, Wellington, Tasman, Northland, Bay of Plenty, Otago, all to win. That didn't happen either, although there were a few wins in amongst that lot. So he was down 100 for the week and down $1,915 for the season. What happened there? It just disappeared. I better bring it back up again. Surly.
Pity's numbers made the computer crash.
He was the only one that had one successful bet. He had a 3-leg multi in the NPC, Auckland, Tasman, and Bay of Plenty, all to win. That was unsuccessful, unfortunately. He also had the Black Ferns to win into Sorensen McGee to score a try. That was unsuccessful as well. But his one bright light was Otago to win by 1-12 at $5. So a nice little collect there. Surly was up $25 for the week, and he's now only down $199.52 for the season.
Only, yeah.
Well, when compared to Pity, that is
true.
And I had one bet. It was a double. I had Otago plus 10.5 into Southland plus 11.5.
Oh.
Southland weren't even plus 11.5 at halftime, crikey. So minus 100 for me for the week, up $961.58 for the season. So where do we go from there? Why don't we go to the Rugby Championship now, because we've got the final two rounds, rounds 5 and round 6 coming up this weekend and the weekend after. And it's such a close competition. There's only 2 points between the top of the table Wallabies and the bottom of the table Argentinians. So I've randomly selected a team for each of us, for all four of us. Unfortunately, Pity's not here, and he had the All Blacks, but I'm sure we can all sort of give our own opinions on why the All Blacks will win the Rugby Championship. But the other teams were dished out. Surly got the Springboks, Steve got the Wallabies, and I've got the Argentinians. And everyone gets around 30 seconds to give us their reasons why the team that they've been given will win the Rugby Championship. So why don't we start with Surly first, who has the Springboks?
I don't think this was random allocation at all. The one guy who lives on the North Shore gets the Springboks, but I'll roll with that. Look, we've just had a record win against the All Blacks. We're currently the number 1 ranked side in the world, back-to-back World Cup champions with a chance to wrap up the competition at home. basically got 2 different teams that we can roll out depending on the style of footy we want to play. We've got the most creative and experimental coaching group in Rassie and Tony Brown. Not afraid to roll the dice. Our fans love a braai and a beer. If that's not more appealing than anything else I've said already, then that should sign you up alone. We're passionate, we're one-eyed, and I hope the Springboks don't win the trophy. I'm currently saying this while wearing an All Blacks hat.
Steve, give us your reasons why the Wallabies are going to win the Rugby Championship.
There's only 2 reasons I could come up with how this may unfold, and the first is the Aussies love to be the underdogs. I don't think anyone at the start of the year would have even picked them to go close this season, and some, in fact, not even to win a game. So they've done particularly well, a big win in Africa for the first time in 30-odd years or something like that at Ellis Park. And the only other reason I can think of that the Wallabies will win the Rugby Championship is that Petiwepu is to bet on all 3 other teams.
That's one way of getting the job done.
That's a guaranteed way.
I've been given Argentina, and I can tell you a few reasons why they will win the Rugby Championship. Look, they are at the bottom of the table as we speak right now, but they're only 2 points behind the leaders, the Wallabies. They've already beaten the All Blacks this season. They've already beaten the Wallabies this season. In fact, they probably should have beaten the Wallabies twice this season. But the real reason why the Argentinians are going to win is because it's the year of the cat. The Geelong Cats are in the AFL Grand Final this weekend. The Penrith Panthers are one of 4 teams left in the NRL. And the Wellington Lions are the current NPC champions. It's all about cats. So Los Pumas will win the Rugby Championship this season. I think you just can't come back from that. That is why Argentina will win their first ever Rugby Championship.
And the Tigers didn't get the wooden spoon. That's a win.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree with all of that except for the Wellington, but they are defending champs, but 3 wins from 8 games. You didn't need to chuck them in there, mate.
Well, they did put 70-odd points on Southland last weekend. It was more of a training run, but we'll get to the NPC a wee bit later. But in terms of the All Blacks, Pity was going to be he was going to give his spiel on why the All Blacks are going to win the Rugby Championship. I guess all 3 of us could all chip in and say why. Surely, you can start off.
Well, we've already won this weekend's game at Eden Park, so that takes away points from the Wallabies. That'll move us back into top position. And then we kick on from there. I just think the boys are copping it a bit at the moment, plenty of adversity, and this is when All Blacks teams of the past stand up and make statements, and I expect us to do the same. So I think big bounce-back performance from here. We go 2 from 2 against the Wallabies and win it out. Perth, basically a home crowd. There'll be so many Kiwis there. So,
Steve, can you give us a few reasons why the All Blacks will win the Rugby Championship?
Yeah, I think at the start of the campaign, if you said you had to win both games against Australia to win it, then I think we're in still a pretty good position. I do think Argentina can take a game off South Africa. I only found out yesterday that their home match is going to be played at Twickenham, which is probably not ideal for Argentina. I was sort of hoping they'd send a B team over to Africa and then keep the A team at home for a big match the following week, because it is a lot of travel. So yeah, hopefully, I think Argentina can take a game off South Africa, which leaves us in a prime position to win 2 from 2 against Aussie, who I think are probably not the strongest of all 4 teams.
Yeah, I think in terms of the All Blacks, they've got through the tough period of the Rugby Championship. They had to play twice in Argentina and then face, I guess, a Springbok team that was just firing on. Everything went right for the Springboks in that last test match. To be fair, they played bloody well. But I think the fact that Razor will have a few players coming back into selection contention for the next 2 tests will strengthen the squad enough to take a couple of wins off the Wallabies. And as Steve said, 2 wins off the Wallabies will probably be enough to win the Rugby Championship. So let's get to the Rugby Championship, and the bookies have the odds out as we speak for the 2 test matches this weekend. And they're fairly warm. Well, the All Blacks are warm favourites. The Springboks are hot favourites. The All Blacks are $1.20 to beat the Wallabies this weekend up at Eden Park. The Wallabies $4.40. The All Blacks are 11.5-point favourites, and the game total is set at 54.5. Before we get into the game, I guess we should have a little look at what we think Razor might do in terms of selections. And if we start with you, Steve, do you think there'll be wholesale changes, or will there just be a few tweaks here and there?
Yeah, I think he's showed his hand right throughout the season. He's happy to run with a pretty consistent team. So I'm thinking maybe a few tweaks, not too big a change. Aussie's a different beast to South Africa. I think you allow them to get momentum, and you can be in for a tough day at the office. So I just think he's going to roll out the big boys. Injuries may have a little bit of impact on that team, but I would certainly think Cam Roigard will come back into 9 and Cortez Radama back onto the bench as well. I think maybe the biggest contentious issue area would be maybe that 13 jumper. And if Billy Proctor's good to go, I probably think he stays there. And then personally, I'd have Will Jordan at fullback, and we select a couple of wingers. The game's probably not going to be so kick chase, although the Wallabies, seeing how much success the other 2 teams have had with the kick, then they're probably willing to try that. But in saying that, they don't kick as well traditionally as the other 2 teams. So, I think maybe that's how I'm going to see it unroll. The forwards will be just straight pretty much as is. I wouldn't think there'll be a lot of change there other than an injury.
Surely, Steve just said probably Roigard, who came off the bench for Counties Monaco on the weekend, looked very, very good as well. And because of the injuries that we had in the 9 jersey, it wouldn't be a surprise to see him slot straight back in behind the scrum. Do you agree with that? And do you see any other changes with the back 3 possibly, in the centres, anywhere else?
Yeah, I think Roigard comes in to start for sure. And man, he can bounce back and play his best footy straight away off injury. It's so impressive. He did it for the Canes when he came back from that knee injury as well. Like, it doesn't take him much time to get himself back into top gear. So I think he'll start. Cortez on the bench. I think Cody Taylor comes back in at hooker for sure. And I think Patrick Tuipulotu will come onto the bench as well. And we really missed his physicality off the bench. He's been one of the unsung heroes for the All Blacks when he's been able to lace up due to his health. But man, he is such a great addition off the bench, leadership as well. So I think all 4 of those guys who are now available will come back in. Yeah, the back 3 makeup to me is a bit of a lottery, right? Like, I'd love to see Will Jordan at fullback as well, and we pick some proper wingers, but they might go D-Mac there again. I'm not so sure. That for me, it's the 4-pack settled, I reckon. Those guys who will come back from injury and go straight in. It's the back line, and it's from 13 out, like Steve said, where it leaves the most debate. But I hope Will Jordan's at the back and we go 2 specialist wingers. We'll see, though.
Steve, if we look at the back 3, were you happy with how that combination worked in Wellington just over a week ago? Would you like to see a few changes there?
For me, if we look at wingers, I think our best wingers are probably Imoni Narawa and Leroy Carter, but I don't think Narawa is going to be available due to the rib injury. So then for me, the wing position has changed. It's all about kick chase. It's all about, if you do kick the ball, you're able to get someone to it in the air. And that's why I like those 2. I'm just not sure Rico, being centre for the last 4 years, is got himself in a position where he's able to do that. So maybe that leaves Will Jordan to chase kicks. from the wing and bring D-Mac into fullback to put them up. I prefer Will Jordan at fullback, but I see why they move him onto the wing as an option. And then you've got this Damien McKenzie kicking game if you need it as well.
Surly, what about the Wallabies? What are you expecting from them? They got out of jail in that first Test match against Argentina, and made a big comeback in the second Test match against Argentina. Fell just short, but in terms of their lineup, what are you expecting to see? I think I saw an old North Harbour player, old Tane Edmed, running around. So. In terms of the Wallabies?
Yeah, bit of chat around him wearing the 10 jersey. I think their 4-pack will be pretty settled and their outsides as well. The midfield for me is the key for them. Iki Tau and Joseph Suali'i, they have an advantage there over the All Blacks, which in my opinion hasn't been the case for an All Blacks versus Wallabies matchup for a fair little while now, where the Wallabies probably have the better of the midfield combo at the moment, or the more settled anyway. I think the Wallabies have shown that you can't switch off against them. They can turn a game around in a 10 to 15 minute period where they look like they're going to get smoked, and all of a sudden they can score tries quickly and points quickly. They play an expansive style. So, yeah, I think their lineup will come here pretty settled and reasonably confident. I think they'll be up for this big time. And if they want to win the Bledisloe, they have to beat us at Eden Park. They have to win this game. So, yeah, they're going to give everything at us. And I think they'll see those odds as well and feel disrespected. They've got nothing to lose, and they're going to throw everything at this.
Yeah, they're top of the table, and they're $4.40 outsiders for this
weekend. Way
weekend.
too much.
11.5 underdogs, and I can tell you, early money is on the Wallabies to stop that Eden Park run by the All Blacks. It's 51 Test matches unbeaten in a row at Eden Park. That's a big trend. That will take some stopping, Steve.
Yeah, I feel the Aussies have lost their two best players. Will Skelton not available, and also Rob Valentini injured due to a calf injury. You know, the Aussies, if you allow them to get over the advantage line, are a very good team, but they need those bigger men to do that. And I just feel they're not going to have two of their biggest and best ball carriers this season. So I just feel that they're not going to get over the advantage line as easy as they have in prior games, and I think that's where they're going to struggle. Joseph Saili is a freak. It doesn't matter who's against him; he's always going to make yards. But without the other two big ball carriers, I just feel they're going to go backwards a little bit, and they're going to struggle. We know how to play the Aussies, and it's all about the battle of the advantage line. And we win that battle, we're going to win the match.
Steve makes a great point there, Surly. All about getting over the advantage line, and two of the best at it are Will Skelton and Rob Valentini. Do you think the rest of the pack can pick up that slack, or will it be just a wee bit too hard at Eden Park this Saturday night?
I think it will be a little bit too hard. I like the All Blacks to win this game. I think if we'd won at the Cake Tin, I'd be a little bit more nervous. The fact that we lost that game with the Eden Park factor, that there's no way that we're not leaving everything out there this weekend and looking to prove a point. So I expect a physical and dominant performance from the All Blacks. And without those two, that certainly hurts the Wallabies pack. Guys like Wilson and that won't roll over. They'll give it everything, but again, with someone like a Patrick Tuipulotu coming off the bench, I think we should have that 80-minute physicality that we've been lacking in other games. And yeah, like Steve said, it's so hard to unleash an exciting backline, and they've got a dangerous back three. They're so exciting out the back as well. But if your forward pack isn't going forward, it kind of nullifies everything. I'm excited to see the set piece battle though, in particular at scrum time, because the Wallabies have looked good there, and we have faded there in recent games. I think Mike Cron might have a few tricks up his sleeve as well to try and get one up over his old team.
He's not a bad scrummaging coach, to be fair, that Cron fella. Yeah, very, very good. If we have a look at the other test match, the Springboks are very, very hot favourites to beat Argentina in Durban this weekend. The Springboks $1.12. Argentina, $5.75. They're 16.5-point favourites, the Springboks, and the game total set at 54.5. Steve, can you see an upset happening in Durban this weekend?
Yep. I just think, Africa are also shown at times their inconsistency. Their first game against Australia wasn't great. And just like us, when they get that bit of a kick in the backside about a bad performance, they do turn up. They weren't great at Eden Park and then turned up very well the next week. So the Argentinians, when they get it right, they're very hard to beat. And, if you just don't prepare well, which possibly the Africans haven't after, the such dynamic win and powerful win in Wellington and travelled home and had a week off. I just think, if it's the year of the underdog, right, in the Rugby Championship, and every time a team's been written off, they tend to front up and put in a big performance. So I feel it can happen. I feel the Argentinians can get up for this one, and they get it right, they'll be hard to beat.
Shirley, how are you feeling about the chances of Los Pumas this weekend?
Oh, they have every chance. I think they've proven they can travel. So that whole myth around them only being strong at home has been well and truly blasted. And they'll be confident after beating the Wallabies, who saw how much that win meant to them and their fans. So they'll be locked in terms of mindset. I do think South Africa will win. I'm interested to see what team they play. That'll cement things more in my head. But I like Argentina on that point start. I think that's way too much. I think both point starts are too much, to be fair. But that 16.5 is way too big.
Steve, I see that Willie LaRue has been brought back into the Springbok squad, and Rassie he's not afraid to make wholesale changes, even to a winning side. So what do you expect from him? Can you pin down what you think he might do this for this test match?
I think the only thing you can expect from Rassie is the unexpected. So embrace it. It's going to get crazy. I'd be very disappointed as a player to put a record performance on the field against the All Blacks in New Zealand and get dropped. I'd be very disappointed as a player.
Yeah. He can't, surely.
Well, Shirley, you mentioned the Wallabies centre pairing of Ikitau and Swali'i. Well, that Springbok centre pairing in the last test match in Wellington were super.
Yeah, they were. And you left out one of the best midfielders in the world. So it's going to be interesting to see how he navigates that. But yeah, I agree with Steve. I think you have to reward that same team. Otherwise, people are going to start to get pissed off, aren't they? Everyone expects changes from Rassie, but how can you change that? It was a record loss for the All Blacks. You need to reward that type of performance, surely. And saying that, probably whole new 23 now, right?
It'll be very interesting to see it. And I'm sure there are a number of punters out there waiting to see which way Rassie decides to go in terms of selections before they decide which way they're going to place their bets. Two fascinating test matches coming up this weekend: All Blacks, Wallabies, Springboks, Pumas. Let's now head to the NPC, and there's only 2 more rounds to go before we get to the playoffs, and there's still a few spots up for grabs down in that middle of the table. Let's have a look at last week, and why don't we have a look at the Shield Challenge first of all? Boy, this Shield has done more travelling than Surly does in a year, to be fair. It's been all over the place.
Oh, that's rich from you. You're at the trots every weekend.
But boy, have we been treated to some fantastic rugby in terms of the Shield this year. Canterbury against Tasman 2 weeks ago was a fantastic Shield challenge. And then we got another one with Canterbury, unfortunately, for the Cantabs, just going down to Otago in a high-scoring thriller. If you look back at that match, Surly, well, Otago deserved to win it in the end. They came and they played. They used the ball very, very well. and in the end, were just that wee bit much better than Canterbury.
Yeah, I thought this game looked reasonably done with 20-odd minutes to go. I thought Canterbury were going to be too good and close it out because they've been so clinical all year. But I thought Otago played the game in the right areas. They applied pressure and came away with points. They're an exciting team to watch. They have been all year. And again, it's just a testament to what the Shield does to teams, right? Because like you said, every Shield challenge, probably apart from that Canterbury Southland one, where Southland were probably 4 or 5 days deep, apart from that, every one of them has been a 5-star game, and it brings the best out of both teams. It was a packed stands again. Otago, they wanted it more in the end, and they got it. And yeah, I was so stoked to see that happen. Otago, for me, have been my second favourite team, or my favourite team to watch this year, because my team has been horrible to watch. And I think it was great reward for them. Like, they've got some players in there, Lucas Casey, Cam Miller, guys like that, who I think have big futures on them, man.
Yeah. Steve, were you impressed with the way Otago went about their business?
I've been impressed by them all season. They're me as well. They're my second favourite team because of the way they play their rugby. I think Lucas Casey was the difference on Saturday again. He was standing out. Those 2 tries from sort of outside 40 metres without passing the ball is it's very hard to do, especially down there on a Shield match. And surely he's destined for bigger things, even by the end of this season. You've got to grab him. You've got to put him in that All Black team to take him away and give him a bit more experience. He's the player of the tournament for me. He's just playing so well week in and week out. He's a big boy. He tackles. He can carry a football like no one else has this season. So he's one of their many standouts this year.
Surely he was absolutely superb. Look, he plays in the forwards, in the loosies, but he's got the footwork of a Fred Astaire. He, as Steve said, that second try that he scored, he was basically untouched, and he stepped. I can't remember if it was the Canterbury first 5 or the Canterbury full. I can't remember who he just stepped him, left him in his wake. It was just a sensational piece of work by Lucas Casey. He really is putting his hand up for higher honours.
Oh, for sure. He's a good size too, and he doesn't shy away from the physical stuff. It's not like he's just this flamboyant ball runner. He ticks every box, and surely, I don't know if he was in the Highlanders wider last year or anything like that, but surely that guy's getting a Super Rugby contract. I think the Highlanders, like Otago, have shown there that there's a base there for them to work from too. So if you're a Landers fan, you must be so excited. They've recruited pretty well for next year too with some young lads. So yeah, it's all looking pretty positive down there in Dunedin. Next weekend, it'll be doom and gloom. Come Monday, they'll all be in mourning after Harbour take the famous log of wood. But for now, let's let them bask in the sun. And Lucas Casey is certainly a talent.
Well, I'll just wait for Steve to get up off the floor. I think he fell off his chair when you made that statement, Surly. Let's have a look at a couple of the other games from last weekend. Wellington, with the injection of a number of All Blacks, put up a wee bit of a cricket score, 75-19 at Jerry Collins Stadium. And it was, well, Steve, was it more the injection of those All Blacks into the Wellington team, or is it the fact that Southland just didn't turn up to play?
Yeah, I probably think a combination of both those factors. It certainly helps having fodder back, world-class fodder as well. And I don't know if the Stags, I think they might have swum to Wellington the way they turned up to play. They just weren't there. Wellington did it at a canter as well, which was very unlike Southland performance because they have been tough this year. But they were disappointing. But Wellington. You get 3 big All Blacks back that are hungry to get some game time and put their hand up for possible selection this week. So I just think when you have that amount of fodder come back into the team, it's always going to be to your benefit.
If we look elsewhere, North Harbour, Surly, heartbreak for them again, going down with a last-minute penalty goal to the Taniwha. You could say that North Harbour almost did enough to win that game.
Yeah, counties should have bet them. Waikato should have bet them. Northland should have bet them. We've done everything we can to win games, but also to lose games. But that's what happens when you're setting up for an ambush, Paulie. You don't want to show all your cards. You want to show just enough to keep the faithful like myself and believing. Keep that core fan base with their eyes on the prize. But then you don't also want to win to trigger the opposition into knowing that an ambush is coming. So we've played this perfectly. We've shown just enough, but not come away with points. Everyone's saying, still haven't won a game, blah, blah, blah. Just you watch. Just you watch. Led by Jed Melvin, one of the best sevens in the country at the moment. He's been playing outstanding for North Harbour. We're going to lift the old log of wood this weekend.
Now, I asked the question last week, will Canterbury go unbeaten this season and will Harbour go winless? What's more likely? Well, we've already got the answer. Canterbury got beaten last weekend. I can't remember what you two boys said, but can Harbour... Well, I know what Shirley's going to say. I'll ask Steve this question. Can Harbour pick up a win in the final 2 weeks of the competition?
No. No, I just got a text message from Petty saying he's put $100 on Harbour of his own money this weekend.
Not like they need anything else to go against them, but they have Petty put money on them. Gee, that's just
put a line through them now.
They won't overcome that. That's unfortunate for them.
I actually think Harbour have played their best footy the last 2 weeks. I actually still don't know how they lost that game. But like they're why wouldn't they be up for this one? It's the only thing they've got to save their season, and they're actually playing good rugby. They just need to bounce the ball a few times to go their way, and I think I can see if there is an upset, I can see how, but I don't think there will be.
Well, I think Steve is just trying to G you up there, Silly, to be fair.
Just a little bit of hope and then snap it in half.
Well, as it stands right now, there are only 3 teams that can hold the shield at the end of the season. That's either Otago. If they win this weekend, that's it. The shield goes into the trophy cabinet for the rest of the year. It could be North Harbour if they win this week and then beat the Stags next weekend, the weekend after. Or it could be the Stags if North Harbour win this weekend and then the Stags beat them the next weekend. So 3 teams left who can still hold the shield at the end of the season. Put your hand, well, let me know. Who's most likely? Steve?
Otago.
Seriously?
Why are you laughing? North Harbour, mate.
I'm with Steve. Otago hold on to the shield this season. They put it away. There's a reason.
Well, you guys have been laughing at my prophecy since I first said it back in round 3 or whatever. I said that would be our first win of the season and it would save our season. We'd go from 0 to hero and this would go down as one of the great Harbour teams. And the stage is set perfectly for an ambush.
Well, to be fair to Searley, his prediction is still live. It can happen.
I tell you what, I'd love for a Patrick Pellegrini to come home early from wherever he is at the moment playing for Tonga, because he would be massive for us right now. He's that missing piece to finish off a game for sure.
Well, that Pacific Nations Cup is all done and dusted, so
yeah,
surely
he doesn't want to, mate.
Oh, come on.
I'm so confident I haven't even organised plans to blow up the Harbour Bridge.
Well, I've taken Monday off. It's already booked in for my leave. It's going to be one of the great celebrations. Meet the lads at the airport. I looked into
one-man ticket take parade.
Looked into flights. It was more expensive than it was to go to Sydney, so unfortunately won't be down there. But
you're not heading to Otago then?
I looked at flights straight away. I got a glare from the misso, but she was willing for it to be play on as long as it was under a certain amount. And yeah, it must be something down at the uni this weekend. I can't imagine it's Harbour fans hitting in big numbers that's pushed the price up, because she's about 900 returns, so it's rough.
Holy moly, you can go to Sydney, return for cheaper. In fact, pretty much anywhere in Australia, return.
Yeah.
Good old Air New Zealand.
Oh, they know the lure of the Shield, mate. They know the lure.
At least they know they won't have to book an extra seat on the way.
Just you wait. There'll be one person left laughing.
Okay, let's have a look at our pick and go MVP for the NPC, and if I just bring it up here,
I think this one's going to be straight sets, surely this week.
It has to be. I'll go with my three first. I've got Lucas Casey, 5 points, his 2 tries, and his general work around the field. He was absolutely superb, and you could make a case for him being the difference between the two teams. He was everywhere, both on offense and defense. Just a super 80 minutes of action there for Lucas Casey. So he gets my 5 points. 3 points goes to the Wellington lock, Dominic Ropetti, who I thought was very, very good against a poor Southland team. Scored a couple of tries. His line-out work was good. He looks like a young player, full of potential. So Ropetti gets 3 points for me. And the other one also goes to a Wellington Lions player, winger Callum Harkin, who scored 3 tries in that match. And once again, just sliced through that Southland defense at times. So yeah, Lucas Casey, a deserved 5-point winner this weekend.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to talk anyone else out of that as well. Lucas Casey's definitely got my 5 points. I almost gave him the 3 points as well. No, I thought Josh Jacobs was pretty good for Taranaki, so he gets the 3. And I was torn between Hoskins Satutu and Lucas Cashmore for my 1. But I'm going to go with Lucas Cashmore for 1 point. I think that was probably the best game I've seen him play. He's really starting to mature into a classy little rugby player. He's always had the credentials, and I just think there's probably maybe bigger things lined up for him in the years to come.
Shirley?
Yeah, my 5 went to Lucas Casey, so it's a full house for him. Well done to him. My 3 was also Josh Jacob. I thought he was big in what was an important win for Taranaki to snap a 2-game losing streak, and a big result there. And then my 1 went to Jed Melvin. It's biased, but I thought he was great for Harbour. I think he has been for the last month or so, so much so that they've made him skipper over Tom Savage over the last couple of weeks as well. And I think he would not look out of place in a Super Rugby side either. There's some good loose forwards going around in New Zealand rugby at the moment.
Fantastic. We'll update that leaderboard. And, of course, Lucas Casey will be rocketing up the ladder. And speaking of ladders, if we look at the NPC table or ladder at the moment, there's still a few spots up for grabs. Look, it's quite tight around that. Well, if we look at Hawke's Bay in 5th place, who are on 25 points, Waikato are also on 25 and 6th. Tasman are in 7th on 24 points. Northland are on 22 points in 8th position. And then Wellington are on 19 in 9th. And then we've got Counties Manukau and Manawatu both on 17 in 10th and 11th position. Surely, who do you see grabbing those final spots, maybe 7 and 8 or just 8?
Yeah, I was going to say then that Northland have a tough run home, because I think they have Canterbury, and then who else do they have last? They have Waikato, but then I've just looked at Wellington's run home. I think it could potentially be even harder in terms of who they've got. They've got Bay of Plenty, and then who do they have this week? Taranaki. So I think this 8 might be the way it finishes out, to be fair. I think this could be it.
Steve, can you see any changes to the 8, or are you with Shirley and thinking that it's fairly set in stone?
Well, I actually, the last couple of weeks, I've liked the Counties team. They're playing some good footy, and they've got Manawatu this week, and then finish away to Tasman. So that'll be tough. But it's a crazy comp because you got Northland on 22 points. With a bonus point win, potentially they could jump up into third place. So, but there's 5 points separating third to eighth. So lots of things still possible. I do like the counties team. I think their ability to score tries is phenomenal the last couple of weeks. So they should get a bit of a roll on this week. And as well against Manawatu, I can't see them being a lot of obstacles in that game. And then you're down to a one-off against Tasman, who haven't quite been at their best. So, watch this space. It's going to be a great couple of weeks.
Let's have a look at a couple of games from this weekend, and we have to start with the Shield Challenge, to be fair. And the bookies have got Otago as significant favourites here. They're $1.20. North Harbour are $4.20. They're 11.5-point favourites, Otago, down in Dunedin, and the game total set at 58.5. Let's start with Surly. He can make a case for his North Harbour boys and why they might win here. Yeah,
well, this is all part of the ambush, isn't it? Again, no one's giving us a shot. Even the bookies are writing us off. That'll be written on the whiteboard in Albany. The odds there, the ladder, everything. Everyone's saying Lucas Casey's the best player in New Zealand, all that type of stuff. This is just the stage is set. Harbour is going to rise and lift the log of wood for only the second time in, I would say, proud history. It hasn't been that proud when you've only won it once before, but well, we've got nothing to lose. In all honesty, Otago deserve to be favourites. They've been playing outstanding footy all year, but we've seen what the Shield can do to teams. Harbour thought they were going to get a crack at it a couple of weeks back when we were hoping that Waikato would defend it against Southland. It wasn't to be, so the lads have been hoping to get an opportunity this year, and one's fallen into our lap. So why not go down there and have a red-hot crack and just hope that Otago celebrated too much. I saw they did the old Kurt Baker photo, naked on each other's shoulders. So hopefully that was just the start of one of the big nights on Castle Street, and they've done a Southland to themselves, and we can go down there and pull it off and shock the rugby world. This is what the NPC is all about. These are the narratives that this great competition provides, and I just have a weird feeling that we're going to do it yet again. Air New Zealand, shout me a free flight because I can't afford the $900, but I'd love to be there.
I've got a problem for you, Surly. I think North Harbour actually sold their whiteboard at the start of the season to pay for rugby jumpers.
We tried to pay for Pellegrini, but he's only played one game. That was the worst investment ever. Tough.
Steve, Otago, surely they won't make the mistake of... I'm sure they celebrated after picking up the Shield off Canterbury, as you should do, but I'm sure they'll be saving the big celebration until after the Shield is locked away, or perhaps until after the actual NPC is finished, and they may have done the double, which is a possibility as we speak.
Yeah, they're also young. They'll bounce back pretty quick after a 5-day bender. I just really hope they win. It'll be a cruel thing for a team who hasn't won a game all year to end up with a Ranfurst Shield, and they're undeserved of it. And come on, Otago.
Well, there we go.
I'm actually thinking about giving you $900 to go down there, Surly, just to so you have your heart broken.
And I just have to film myself watching the game live the whole time.
Yeah, you have to stay in there the whole time.
I tell you what, I'm going to try get an unofficial Battle of the Bridge in the postseason so that Auckland and Harbour can finally go at it this season. The fact there's no Battle of the Bridge is a joke, and we'll put the Shield up on the line. That's how confident I am that would beat Auckland as well.
Mate,
Right,
North Harbour team would be lucky to hang a wet jumper on a line at the moment.
That was good. I'll give you that one. That was good.
Let's head to one other game this weekend, and it contains a couple of teams who are still fighting for a spot in the playoffs. Counties Manukau host Manawatu. They both are on 17 points as we speak. Whoever loses this weekend, their chances of making the playoffs will be over, but the victor will still have the opportunity, an outside chance anyway, of making the top 8. Counties Manukau are favourites here. They're $1.37. Manawatu are $3. They're 8.5 point favourites, Counties Manukau. And the game total, here we go, 67.5. Surly, are we going to see a whole heap of points this weekend up there at Pookie?
Yeah, we are. Counties have really turned it on over the last few weeks, and when they win, they score plenty of points, and they play an exciting and physical brand of rugby. And for me, Manawatu over the last fortnight have kind of fallen away a little. They've had some injuries there, and they've kind of struggled to overcome it. Maybe squad depth isn't as strong after they started the season pretty well. So, yeah, I can see this being a 50 points to 30 win to Counties, and they come away with a good result. But yeah, disappointing for Manawatu after the start of the year over the last couple of weeks, how they have struggled a little. But I think Counties are hitting their straps at the right time, and they'll want to bank this one to keep their season hopes alive.
Steve, do you give Manawatu any sort of chance? I mean, if you look at some of their players, they've got Yossi at number 8, Geordie Viljoen, halfback, Cameron, Lomape. They've got some very, very good players.
Yeah, my understanding is they've had a lot of injuries in the front row. I'm not sure if those boys will be back this week, but it's certainly hard to have play rugby without a set piece dominance, and that's sort of where they started well at the start of the season, but that's sort of where they've got to. They've had a lot of injuries in the front row and really struggling at scrum time, line out time. So I'm not sure if their players will be back, but if they are, they've certainly got some players there that when they're on, they can be very on.
Let's just go through the rest of the round, and I just want you to give me who you think will win these games. Hawke's Bay up against Auckland. Hawke's Bay $1.40, Auckland $2.90. Surly?
Hawke's Bay.
Steve?
Hawke's Bay.
Hawke's Bay for me as well.
Turn on the boys.
That's who I think will win. That's not who I want to win.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Surly will shout you the Uber to, no, that'll be all the way down to Hawke's Bay, won't it? No, that might be a wee bit too much.
Mind you, it's probably cheaper to get an Uber to Dunedin than it is to fly.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I'm not shouting anyone this weekend. I'm trying to fundraise, Paulie. I can't go in the negative.
Righty-ho, Southland, Tasman. Southland $6, Tasman $1.11. Surly?
Yeah, Tasman. I think Southland have conceded almost 200 points since they lost the Shield in the 3 games since, so tough.
Steve?
Yeah, Tasman. Too big, too strong.
Yeah, Tasman. We've already done Otago, North Harbour. Myself and Steve are Otago. Surly is North Harbour.
Deep down, he's Otago as well.
I believe.
Taranaki, Wellington. Taranaki $1.42. Wellington $2.80.
I'll go Taranaki.
Steve?
Taranaki.
Wellington.
See, that's a harbour call from you.
No, because Wellington actually have a chance. Bay of Plenty, Waikato. Bay of Plenty $1.25. Waikato $3.70.
Bay of Plenty for me.
Yeah, Bay of Plenty.
Yep, Bop for me as well. Counties Manukau, Manawatu. Counties Manukau $1.37. Manawatu $3. Counties. And the final game of the round, Northland up against Canterbury. Northland $5.50. Canterbury, can they bounce back from losing the Shield? They're $1.13. The bookies think so.
Yeah, I'll go Canterbury, but those odds are disrespectful.
I'm going Taniwha.
Yeah, they have been very, very good. I'm certainly like Taniwha plus the points, but I'm going to go with Canterbury to win the game. Okay, it's time for us to do some proper punting and put our money where our mouths are. And yeah, but he's not here, so I don't know who he was going to bet on. And I think
sounds like 100 on Harbour, unfortunately.
But we'll start with you first, Surly. Surly, where are you going to go this weekend?
I'll go $50 on the All Blacks 1 to 12 at $3. I'll go $25 on Taranaki, Counties, and Bop, all head-to-head at $2.45. And then my last 25, Harbour 1 to 12 at $5.75.
Nice. Steve?
$50 on the All Blacks at 13 plus. And then I'm going to go $50 on Otago to win, Hawke's Bay to win, Tasman to win, Bay of Plenty to win, Counties to win, and Hosking Satutu to score a try anytime as a multi.
Right, I'm going to have one multi, and it's going to go across the Rugby Championship and into the NPC. I noticed that the All Blacks to win by 13 or more is $1.87, and yet the All Blacks minus 11.5 is $1.85. So I'm willing to give up that 2 cents and take the All Blacks minus 11.5, and then I'll go into the NPC, and I'll take Hawke's Bay to beat Auckland at $1.40. I'll take Tasman $1.11 to beat Southland. I'll take Otago $1.20 to beat North Harbour.
Idiot.
And I'll take Counties Manukau $1.37 to beat Manawatu. That's my $100 on. So All Blacks minus 11.5 into those teams that I've just mentioned to win this weekend in the NPC. Right. That's it for another week here at the Pick and Go, but we should check out to see how all the firefighters went last weekend.
That's Steve's locking.
It was Steve Devine. There was the big reunion. How'd that go? You got through okay, obviously.
Yeah, we made it through all right. I'm still in the house. It's not burnt down.
I was going to say you still got walls. Yeah.
It was. I was glad to see them leave on Monday. I'll put it that way.
Monday.
Yeah.
That was that's a big
That's
weekend.
a Ranfurly Shield shift right there.
It was fun.
Yeah, good.
Okay,
Good.
you don't want to elaborate at all, Steve?
I can't tell that story. I can't tell. No, I'm not allowed to tell. That's as little as I'm allowed to say.
This sounds like some Mad Monday celebrations.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, okay. Good. We'll leave it at that. Silly. Obviously, you weren't quite as, I guess, I'm guessing your weekend wasn't quite as entertaining as Steve last weekend.
No, just watch sport, really. It was a bit more home-based than Steve's. Although Steve was at home, to his testament, I can just imagine different levels of intoxication. But I am more jealous of Steve. Steve sounds way more fun, and hopefully I'll be doing the same this weekend. Once Harbour win the Ranfurly Shield. If I haven't mentioned it, I'm just mentioning it again.
Fantastic. Okay. That's it for this week.
You never tell us about your weekend, mate.
Well, this weekend. Oh, shit. I'm coming up to Auckland.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm going to a blind spot concert.
Struth.
So not a rugby match?
Is there any rugby up there? Well, the blind spot...
Is there any rugby? There's an All Blacks game at Eden Park.
Well, the concert's on Friday night, so if anyone's got a spare ticket to the All Blacks Wallabies, let me know.
Mate, you'll have a media pass somewhere, won't you?
Oh,
surely.
Gee, I should have arranged that, shouldn't I? Bloody hell!
I see what. Let me see what I can do for you.
Here we go.
There we go. You know anyone in Forsyth Bar as well, Steve?
Just mate. Last time I was at Forsyth Bar, I kid you not, I turned up with Case Muse, and he goes, we get to the car park, and he goes, sorry, boys, I can't find my pass. And they're like, oh, mate, just park wherever you want. So he drives in, front stalls, get out, gets to the gate, and he's like, oh, sorry, I can't find my tickets. They're like, oh, off you go. And so we all just walk in straight into the Otago box, and away we go.
I can't find my ticket. I'm not sure if that would work for me, to be honest.
I was like, this is life. This is how it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Was he the bus driver? Did he used to drive the All Blacks bus at times? Who was the All Black that used to drive? Was it the All Black bus or the Otago bus? Case Muse was part of one of the great Otago teams, so I can understand why he just gets just go through, big guy, go through.
I think he was more likely to be pushing the bus than driving it.
Righty-ho.
Yeah, let's leave that there.
Yeah, we've got to get out of here now. Thanks to my good friend Steve Devine. Thanks to my good friend Ben Searle. And thanks to you guys for tuning in and listening once again. We'll be back next week with another edition of the Pick and Go.
Go Harbour.